The Boston Celtics beat the Toronto Raptors 122-100 behind a lockdown defense, as well as the Raptors struggling to hit outside shots. In this film room breakdown, we will show how the Celtics defense slowed the Raptors offense, as well as the best sets and concept used throughout this game. My name is Coach Gibson Pyper. You can follow me on Twitter at HalfCourtHoops. I also run a coaching website, thebasketballplaybook.com, for coaching resources. If you enjoy this film room breakdown, please feel free to like and subscribe. The Raptors sideline out of bounds play, Spain action, is the most effective set in the NBA, but the Celtics were prepared and defended it well. Instead of the normal drop coverage they typically run, they trap Fred VanVleet, who is forced to retreat and give the ball up. In this action, now there is nobody to set this back screen on for the Spain action, and the Celtics do a good job of actually trapping Fred VanVleet here and then contesting this drive when OG Anunoby drives, with Gordon Hayward and Tice both going up for the contest. In transition, the Raptors do a good job containing the Celtics as they flow into their spread ball screen. As this ball screen occurs, we're going to see a nice backdoor cut from Gordon Hayward. The Raptors do a good job of containing this and deflecting. However, the Celtics hit Tice on the cut here for the and one. Coming down into their stagger action, or a double screen, the Raptors flow into a two-man game with Gasol and Fred VanVleet. The Celtics are going to be in their drop ball screen coverage, which is trying to allow a contested mid-range shot. So Kemba in this scenario would be the one contesting Fred VanVleet. Ends up being a pretty clean look, who ends up just missing. The Raptors started off the game defending Jason Tatum with Kyle Lowry. This is clearly a size mismatch, and one of the things that really makes it allow the Raptors to do this is Lowry's toughness and active hands. Here we say they get Tatum isolated on him as Tice sets this flare screen for Jaylen Brown, who ends up missing the open three. Lowry pushes the ball the other way and hits Siakam for early post-up. Siakam ends up shooting a fading pull-up that he just missed. Boston's up 3-0. Gasol sets a wide pin down for Fred VanVleet, who ends up kicking it out to Siakam. Here you can see Jaylen Brown doesn't even care about Siakam here on the closeout. Tatum does a good job stunting, and Siakam ends up missing the open three. A priority when facing the Raptors is transition defense. They rank third in the NBA in transition offense according to Synergy. Tice does a great job here and then ends up closing out on the shooter on the opposite side. The Raptors started off the game with pretty good defensive pressure, as we can see a good switch by Lowry and OG here. This allows a backdoor cut from Gordon Hayward, but VanVleet does a good job helping on the weak side and ends up being a turnover, and the Raptors take the ball the other way. Lowry attacks in transition. Jaylen Brown does a good job containing him, and then Lowry ends up traveling here. Going again to their wide pin down action, this time in a step up ball screen with Gasol and Fred VanVleet. Kemba takes a shot to the groin. The Raptors cannot take advantage of it, with Fred VanVleet missing a wide open three-point shot. So the Raptors' struggle started early without too much effectiveness from the Celtics defense. Unable to execute based on bounds here, the Raptors give up a 3-on-1, which ends up resulting in a Celtics layup, and Nick Nurse calls a timeout with the Celtics going up 10-2. After timeout, the Raptors run Lowry through the opposite side, or weak action, and then set a slice or shuffle screen for Siakam to get a post touch. This is a great example of who coaches look to when their team needs a score. For instance, they post up Siakam here. Siakam just barely misses the post-up touch. The Celtics come back and run a spread ball screen for Hayward, who does a good job getting downhill and uses an effective in and out dribble to force Gasol to get out of position for an easy layup. Defensively, the primary ball screen coverage for the Celtics is going to be ice, or forcing the ball handler to go away from the ball screen, and the big zones up, not allowing anything but a contested mid-range shot. The normal defense for the Celtics will be that in the ball screens, so look out for that. After a foul, the Raptors are going to run a cross screen into a stagger screen. So Lowry sets this, doesn't really set it, but it freezes Marcus Smart, then comes off a stagger screen. Marcus Smart tries to shoot the gap, and Lowry ends up getting a wide open look from three, who just misses. Still down 12-2, the Raptors flow into a ball screen where Fred VanVleet beats the ice coverage and then hits Gasol on the roll. Brown helps off Siakam in the corner, doesn't close out to his shooter, and Siakam makes him pay by hitting the three. The Celtics selling out of bounds go to their Chicago action, or a pin down into a dribble handoff. And we're definitely gonna go back and look at this because this is a big part of the Celtics offense. As Brown turns the corner here on this pin down and dribble handoff, watch Tice as he rolls. He's gonna seal Gasol on the high side. This doesn't allow Gasol to help on the drive, and Jaylen Brown gets an easy look for a layup. Raptors run the same exact Chicago action here, but the Celtics defend it by going under that dribble handoff, which allows Hayward to cut off the drive and contest. Now up until this point, the Celtics did a good job containing the Raptors in transition, but Lowry does a great job hesitating and splitting the defense for an easy layup. The Celtics make an adjustment the next possession by Kemba cutting off Fred VanVleet and Tice sprinting back and drop, allowing Gasol to shoot that three. They'll live with that shot every day. One of the reasons the Celtics forced the Raptors to shoot from outside was their stingy on-ball defense. Moving their feet, stunning off the ball, and forcing the handler to retreat and giving the ball up is key to their defensive system. As we're going to see here, the Raptors are going to come up here in their drag ball screen, or just a ball screen in transition. Smart's going to do a good job recognizing this and getting into ice ball screen coverage, or forcing Lowry away from that ball screen. Lowry's going to drive and try to penetrate. No advantage is going to be there. He's going to get the ball to Fred VanVleet. Back to Lowry. Now Smart's going to do a great job containing this drive. The ball gets to Siakam on this middle drive. Kemba is going to stunt in the middle here and then recover out to a shooter in Fred VanVleet for a flyby closeout. The Raptors go to their cut action, which is a little flip for Siakam to get him downhill. This has been one of the most effective sets that they've run all year, basically to get Siakam to drive downhill and turn the corner, or just get him in a one-on-one ball handling situation. If you go under this action, he also has a skill to be able to kind of catch and shoot directly off this flip action. He's been pretty effective with this all year. In this scenario, the Celtics are going to defend this action with Tatum and Brown and just switch it. So when you switch it, there's no real downhill advantage. There's no real creation for Siakam. Tatum does a great job on the drive. Good stunt in the corner by Smart, and ends up missing the shot. Tatum tried to attack Lowry in isolation and Fred VanVleet in isolation with no success. Here he gets a good look off the ball screen, which is something they'll do for the most part going forward. VanVleet does a good job getting downhill, finds Ibaka on the look back. They get the offensive rebound and hit Fred VanVleet, and that triggers Brad Stevens to call a timeout. He doesn't like what he sees. The Celtics, after timeout, run this little stack chase action, or a ball screen for Gordon Hayward at the elbow. Does a good job of rejecting it and then finding shooters on the perimeter. We'll look at this action again as Hayward receives a little down screen from Williams, catches the ball at the elbow. Pay attention to that action because we're going to look at that next possession for the Celtics. The Raptors come back down, back to their Chicago action out of their 5-out, or what I would call delay. The Raptors here are forced to end this possession with a launch from Fred VanVleet, and we're going to look at exactly why that happened and how the Celtics defense was so effective. Number one, they keep going under on that dribble handoff. So as we go back here, you'll see when they hit this delay action in the middle, Wanamaker's actually going to go under this pin down and dribble handoff. He's just going to go under it, not allowing Powell to turn the corner, staying in great position. When Powell gets the ball to Siakam, Wanamaker's going to switch out. The Celtics are then going to flow directly into their ice ball screen coverage, or forcing the ball handler away from that screen. Ibaka is now going to stay above the screen, and he has a chance to be open, decides to attack, ends up trying to shoot a little turnaround pull-up. Williams does a good job deflecting it, then finds VanVleet for the heave. The same exact action as before, but now the Celtics are going to run it into a double ball screen, which results in a wide open dunk. So the same exact pin down action for Gordon Hayward. which normally would be an elbow catch into a ball screen when we just saw him ran. Now it's a double ball screen with Hayward and Williams involved in that action. The Raptors have a defensive breakdown because they're concerned about the other play. Williams ends up getting the wide open dunk. Wide pin down again for Ibaka. He runs that into a little open up hook action. Raptors go into kind of their split cuts, a baseline drive, no real advantage. Again, the Celtics doing a great job containing the drive. Here we can see Wanamaker getting the steal in the corner. Siakam gives up the Euro foul, ends up getting 2 free throws out of it. They try to post up RHJ here. No real advantage against Gordon Hayward, who throws it right to Jason Tatum. Tatum ends up driving in transition and ends up getting fouled. Now, with 34 seconds left in the quarter, the Raptors could have a 2-for-1 chance here. What the Celtics do is apply a little bit of soft pressure to make Lowry think and just burn a little bit of that clock. So now when he goes to attack and ends up finding Ibaka, who misses the roll shot here, the Celtics will get the last shot of the quarter, or at least they should. The Celtics decide they're going to attack with 11 seconds left on the shot clock. Tatum shoots with 9. Problem here is now you're giving the ball back to the Raptors, and Powell gets the ball, ends up driving full court, and Tatum compounds his mistake by goaltending. Now let's look at what Brad Stevens said at the end of the first quarter here.
You held them to less than 25% shooting from the field. What was your focus? What was working?
Well, we guarded okay. They missed some shots, but I thought we missed a lot of good looks, and we need to play like that a little bit more. Not a great ending to the quarter there, but we played all right.
You said you missed some shots. You only made 1 3-pointer for 11 attempts.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the shot selection?
Great. Yeah, we've gotten a bunch of good looks. JB had those 3 good looks, and then he hit the tough one when he backed up. So we love those looks. We'll take them all day.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
After timeout, the Raptors just go to a basic spread ball screen here. The Celtics switch that action. Now, the Raptors get a good look here in this possession, in my opinion. We can see the Celtics go to their ice ball screen coverage. Lowry hits Ibaka on the pop. Ibaka drives. We get an extra pass for an open Norm Powell 3. Jason Tatum ends up getting the steal here off the offensive rebound, and I love how he protects the ball here. So as he's driving straight at Lowry one-on-one, he protects the ball to the side and then finishes. This is key against Lowry. The Raptors are the #1 transition defense team. And one of the reasons for that is because Lowry's so good getting back in transition. You'll see him all the time just make these little swipes, getting back in transition, just being a pest, just being able to stop any advantage the offense had. The Raptors end up not getting a great look on this possession. They run a little bit of 21 action. A drive here from Davis ends up getting a good contest by Williams. The Celtics are now off in transition again. And what we're going to see is an uncharacteristic mistake from the Raptors. They run that basic flow action or a wide action in transition from the Celtics here. So here Williams is going to set this quick pin down for Marcus Smart in transition. Marcus Smart's able to turn the corner. Now Ibaka and RHJ are going to switch this, but Williams just cuts right by RHJ for an easy backdoor layup. Just an uncharacteristic mistake from the Raptors. The next offensive possession isn't any better as Ibaka goes and sets this little wide pin down here. He's going to then should open up. Lowry just throws it right out of bounds. Now this is action that the Raptors have run all year long, where you just set a basic wide pin down and then open up. So this is exactly why Lowry was looking for Ibaka on this action. Matter of fact, it's an action that the Raptors ran 3 different times in this game. As you can see, Gasol opening up here, as well as the next possession, and will be opening up when they go small. So Lowry is understandably frustrated, but as you can see, an uncharacteristic mistake from the Raptors. Now again, the Celtics are going to go small and run a little bit of horn set. The flare here by Wanamaker is going to be slipped and then passed to Williams in the dunker spot for a foul. Just again, uncharacteristic mistakes from the Raptors, probably an anomaly. They run their double ball screen into a stagger screen, one of the most common actions that they run all season as we go back and look at this. The Celtics defensive job here is great. As you can see, Wanamaker and Smart switch this early screen. Now it's going to go into this double stagger action. And what I want to focus on is Marcus Smart here. Brown's going to go underneath this stagger action. Smart does a great job of stunting, not allowing a catch and shoot opportunity, and then recovering back to the ball. Just outstanding defense and results in a pull-up for Ibaka. The Celtics come back down. No real advantage here. So you're going to see Wanamaker is going to post up Tatum. Tatum tries to attack. Powell does a great job of tying him up and ends up in a jump ball. The Celtics run their double ball screen or double drag screen. Wanamaker gets free for a pull-up, and that triggers Nick Nurse to call a timeout, down 31-16. Now after timeout here, the Raptors are going to run a little elbow action, a little bit of twirl, and then Marc Gasol is going to get called for an illegal screen here, giving the ball right back to the Celtics. Nick Nurse gets teed up, and I really think he's just trying to get his team going. And you know what? It kind of worked for at least a few possessions anyways. The pressure was ratcheted up on the defensive end from the Raptors. You can see Fred VanVleet getting up into Marcus Smart, force him to retreat, forcing Marcus Smart into this kind of tough rush shot. And then the Raptors get the ball and go the other way. This time VanVleet's going to drive through 2 Celtics and finish in transition. The next play, they set a ball screen for Lowry, who gets downhill, gets an and one. So the Raptors are making a little bit of moves, pressuring, denying Tice here by Gasol. You see Powell kind of pressuring Gordon Hayward, who's going to drive right into Kyle Lowry, who ends up drawing the charge, leading the NBA in charges drawn. You can see him step in there and take that. They run this same exact ball screen action. This time Wanamaker recognizes it, ends up getting a tip back. Then the Raptors are going to flow into the side handoff for Siakam. Siakam this time is going to retreat, crossover, and then drive and score through traffic. So the Raptors are now making a push, 32-23. The Celtics are going to need an answer, and they get it in the weirdest way. So you can see Gordon Hayward's going to drive in the lane here, get kind of tripped up, take out Gasol. Tice drives, which forces a corner help, and now Wanamaker hits a 3. Just one of the more random threes you're going to see that makes it 35-23. Kemba comes off this ball screen, initially gets called for the and one, hits the 3. Nick Nurse challenges this call, ends up being successful. The 3 still stands, so Kemba hits this 3. VanVleet did not get called for the foul, so the Celtics still end up getting 3 points out of it. You kind of be the judge and take a look at here. I'm not sure I saw any contact, so a successful challenge by Nick Nurse nonetheless. The Celtics run their horns exchange set. It goes into a side ball screen. I love how Siakam digs in here and gets this steal. But watch Tice's effort in transition here, just sprinting back to contain Siakam. Those are the principles you're going to need against the Raptors. The Celtics end up fouling, and the Raptors get it sideline out of bounds. Sideline out of bounds here, we're going to see a inverted or an under ball screen. If you watch my breakdown the other day in that film room, I did the under ball screen breakdown. We're gonna go back and look at this. Basically a guard screening for a big. So in this case, Fred VanVleet is gonna screen for Siakam, putting Kemba Walker in ball screen defense. Kemba hard hedges and then recovers to his man, Fred VanVleet, who does a good job of attacking the closeout. You can see Kemba is off balance, then fouls him from the behind in the rear contest. The Raptors run their delay flare slip. So you see this flare and then slip by Fred VanVleet. Great read in their 5 out. Great pass by Marc Gasol, and something that will be effective for them later in the game as well. Next possession for the Celtics, we're going to see a little horn set with a flare screen from Marcus Smart. Siakam's going to go under this flare screen and then get caught on the ball screen. Smart's going to do a good job of turning downhill and then hitting a nice little pull-up jumper. The Raptors, based on a bounds set, down 40-26. No real advantage, so they run a little spread ball screen. VanVleet hits Gasol, who finds Siakam. Now we're going to go back and look at this Celtics defense. The reason I highlighted this play was the great X out on the weak side. So Jaylen Brown's going to step in and be responsible for the roll man. Gordon Hayward takes his man in the corner, and then Jaylen Brown's responsible for his man on the wing. Good job closing out, and they close out to a non-shooter. Celtics baseline out of bounds late, 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Tice sets a back screen for Jaylen Brown. Now this should probably be a switch from the Raptors, but Siakam stays with Brown. That hesitation allows Tice to catch and shoot a corner 3, and that will come up again in another possession for the Celtics. The Raptors are going to run just a basic spread ball screen here, and the reason I wanted to show this was not only is it an open shot, but the reason it's open is because the Celtics normally would push this to the sideline. VanVleet does a good job of rejecting this ball screen, which forces a help from Jaylen Brown. That leaves Siakam open in the corner for a wide open corner 3. Unfortunately, the Celtics come back down, and on this initial slot drive, Jaylen Brown's just going to drive in. Gasol's going to help off of Tice in the corner, which is actually a good help because as of right now, going into this game, Tice was 3 of 14 from corner threes. Unfortunately, he hit 2 of them there, which puts the Celtics up 46-28. The Raptors are going to come back down, still down 46-28 in much need of a score. You see Lowry attack here, get his body in a defender, and finish through contact. This is going to trigger a timeout from Brad Stevens. Doesn't like what he sees in the offensive end. Now, Nick Nurse is one to try pretty much anything. The lineup he puts out on the floor here has had 1 possession all year, according to cleaningtheglass.com. And so he's clearly in searching for answers. A smaller lineup with Siakam at the 5. Jaylen Brown turns the corner, gets downhill, ends up drawing the foul. The Raptors actually had a lot of success with this lineup. Lowry misses a pull-up 3 he would normally make here. He's going to drive in transition, end up turning the ball over. So uncharacteristic mistakes kind of the theme throughout right now. Tice ends up turning the ball over on this pressure. Another example of the Raptors' kind of smaller lineup here, switching and forcing an ISO from Marcus Smart. So they had some success. They just couldn't sustain any offense with this. The Raptors run their horn split set. We'll go back and look at this exact action of why it worked. And one of the downsides of playing small is giving up offensive rebounds. So the horn set is Jaylen Brown at the elbow. Jason Tatum's going to go backdoor. Boucher ends up helping off after he's in the game now. They skip it to Tice in the corner. And again, helping off him in the corner was probably on the scouting report. Gordon Hayward ends up getting the weak side rebound over Lowry and puts it back, putting the Celtics up 50-32. Boucher is in the game and end up hits a driving kick 3 here. So a good adjustment, 50-35, closing the half well so far. The same flare chase action out of horns gets Boucher switched on a Tatum. Tatum makes him pay with this sidestep ISO 3, putting the Celtics up 53-35. Jaylen Brown makes a pretty poor mistake fouling Fred VanVleet here, making it 52-37 at the half. As we see the halftime stats, Celtics aren't shooting great. Raptors are shooting worse, turning the ball over more, and just in general not playing well offensively at all. Celtics defense has part to do with that, but they're also just struggling. So after timeout, they come and run what I would call 21 action, looking for a throwback for Kyle Lowry. They end up posting up Siakam here, who ends up attacking Jaylen Brown, ends up getting a good score, so a good start to the second half for the Raptors so far. Look at this action again. So what they're looking for is this throwback action for Lowry. So you see him try to come off this screen here. Kemba recognizes it and is going to get on the top side, forcing Lowry to cut to the basket. Gasol opens up, and then Siakam sets that little back screen to kind of clear space. Does a good job of turning around, up and under, good finish. Celtics come back down 52-39. Again, pressuring is key here for the Raptors. Tatum drives into no man's land. Lowry gets the steal. Ends up driving here. Kemba does a great job of playing this 2-on-1, kind of jabbing and then going vertical here on this contest. I thought that was great transition defense from Kemba. Celtics go to their classic double ball screen set they run all the time for Kemba Walker. What we're going to see here is Jaylen Brown set this first one, Tice be the second screener. No real advantage off of this first one, so we're going to see this little rescreen action here by Tice. What I want to see is basically how Kemba sets this up. So you're going to look at this little kind of hesitation, show the ball, get Siakam up in the air, and then turn the corner, get fouled, make the and one. Raptors come back down. Lowry drives in transition, ends up getting fouled, so a good early push from him there. Again, got to stop the ball in transition if you're the Celtics. VanVleet picks the pocket of Kemba, goes up, finishes through contact, making it 55-45, and that's a timeout from Brad Stevens. 10-point game. So Celtics come out and run a classic Spurs set, a loop action. They call it zipper loop. Ends up getting Kemba an open corner 3, and we'll show exactly how that happened, and that's important because he missed that corner 3. So we're going to see a little zipper cut from Gordon Hayward here. Now this is a triple screen for Kemba Walker. Kemba is going to come off it after a little bit of pressure, get pushed to the baseline. Tatum comes off it like floppy action. Tice slips it with 2 players going on Tatum. We get a pass to Kemba Walker in the corner, who ends up missing that open corner 3. The Raptors come back down in transition. Van Vliet goes up and ends up missing a pretty tough layup. Good adjustment there by the Celtics to contest that in transition. Jaylen Brown hits Tatum, who finds Kemba in that exact same corner, and he doesn't miss twice, knocking down that three. Now they go back to that ball screen action for Siakam, putting Kemba Walker in the ball screen defense. He's going to hard hedge this action, or basically jump out and try and force Siakam to go back. Jaylen Brown gets screened off and goes under. You can see Siakam has all day to shoot, just misses that open look from three. The Celtics go to their wide action in transition, which is really tough to guard. So you can see Tice setting this quick pin down screen for Tatum. Tatum's going to turn the corner. This is basically a ball screen now. Gasol drops. Tatum hits this floater, which he's been a little bit inconsistent with this year, but good to see him knock that down. 60-45 Celtics. Same wide pin down action. Kemba is going to deny that for Fred VanVleet. Gasol opens up and ends up missing the three. So you can see Kemba jump above that, forcing VanVleet away from that screen. Good contest here by Tice on the run out against Gasol's three. Celtics come back down and set a little ball screen for Tatum. Good hands by Kyle Lowry, but that's the perils of being shorter against Tatum, and Tatum's able to knock down that three. The Raptors down 15 still, 63-48. Selling out of bounds run this Iverson cut for Lowry, who ends up getting a wide open look off of this. This is action they've run for him for years now. It's pretty common, especially selling out of bounds. You see him run over the top of the two players, ends up getting a wide open clean look from three and just misses it. So the Raptors are getting some decent looks. They're just not converting them right now. Celtics are going to go to their little kind of pin down action and 5 out. We get a swing handoff for Jason Tatum, who's turning the corner and again hitting that tough floater, kind of leaning downhill. 65-48 now. Now here's that flare slip action out of the 5 out that the Raptors ran before. Not as clean as a slip, but here you can see in space, Siakam is going to set that flare screen and then slip into space, kind of changing speeds and then finishing through contact against Brown. Celtics come back down with this step up ball screen, so like a drag screen in transition, just turning it into like an angle. Kemba's going to relocate and catch and shoot another corner three. Let's go back and find out how he was open. Tice sets this ball screen as it's going to basically be a switch. Gasol is going to get switched onto Kemba. Tice on the weak side here is going to screen off Lowry because he thinks a shot's going to be going up. So that allows Tatum to drive in and then Gasol stopping the drive. So now Kemba's wide open for that three. The Raptors are still trying everything. You can see Gasol holding up double fist. That signals the Raptors zone. They go to the 1-2-2 zone here, down 16 in the third quarter. They actually get a good stop here on Jaylen Brown, get a steal, and can't convert the other way, but they still get an opportunity here with a ball screen for Siakam. This time Kemba does a better job of making Siakam hesitate and go backwards, so that allows Jaylen Brown to stay in front one-on-one. The Celtics are going to be able to hedge this, so it's a hard hedge. So Kemba jumps out and stabs at him and forces Siakam to stop and have no momentum going downhill. VanVleet could have been open here on the pick and pop three, but since no threes are falling, Siakam's probably going to keep that in this scenario most of the time. Coming back down in transition, this is just a ridiculous pass from Jaylen Brown to Gordon Hayward. Just unbelievable court vision, and to make a one-handed bullet pass on the money through 3-4 Raptors players is just a great play, putting the Celtics up 70-52. Getting cross match in transition here, Lowry has Tice on him, so that's going to be an ISO attack in this scenario. You can see the Celtics are kind of zoned up against that. Tice does a good job of containing him and then contesting that on the cutter. Hayward comes down in transition, finds Tice, who finds Jason Tatum, who knocks in the corner three for their transition, putting the Celtics up 73-52. Basically at this point, basically putting the game away, forcing Nick Nurse to call a timeout. But game's still within reason. The Celtics are going to have to defend this pretty tough action, in my opinion, from the Raptors. They don't get anything off of it, but I think it's really good action nonetheless, so we'll go back and look at that. It's a normal play. They run a handoff into a stagger or a double screen on the top side, and then a flip back to the point guard for a little kind of step-up ball screen. And then on this weak side, we're going to see this hammer screen by Siakam at the same time. Tice does a great job of blocking this. The Raptors get another offensive rebound chance from 3 and can't convert. The Celtics are going to go back to their end of quarter play, or the Knicks ball screen as I call it. Tatum skips it to Jaylen Brown for a corner 3. He knocks it down. So the reason this was open was as Tice comes up and sets this step up ball screen, or a Knicks ball screen as I call it, a pass into a step up, we're going to see Tice is going to pop. Right, he's going to pop into space. Marcus Smart is going to cut into space, occupying the bottom defender. That allows Tatum to throw that skip pass to Jaylen Brown, and his defender was worried about Marcus Smart cutting, so he's unable to get there and close out. The play here I want to highlight is just Marcus Smart pestering the ball, being able to close out on the drive, and then when the scramble gets loose here, he dives on the floor, flips up to Wanamaker. Wanamaker ends up finishing in transition, putting the Celtics up 78-54. Now that same exact action that they just ran, the Knicks action, the Celtics here, this time the Raptors trap. So you can see as Jason Tatum comes up here, the Raptors trap and the ball side is empty. So if he throws it over to Marcus Smart, Wanamaker is going to screen the low man here on the inside. Jaylen Brown's open for another catch and shoot corner 3. Now, Brad Stevens was asked after the game what it meant to beat the Raptors in like a playoff preview, and he says it won't mean anything if we get the opportunity again, as in this game is probably an anomaly, which I agree with. It's, you know, there's some things you can take away from it, but here's also what he said at the end of the game.
I think the biggest thing is that we were ready to play. I thought Wednesday we really guarded for the most part the way we wanted to start guarding. And I thought that continued today. So we have to be locked in. We have to be dialed in. We have to be good defensively to have a chance to be a good team. And I don't think it's a surprise that your offense follows that when you are dialed in like that.
I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Thank you so much for watching it. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to like and subscribe. I look forward to doing more.